Welcome to HashiCorp Live and another episode of Getting into Consul. I think we're on part 3 by now, Cole.
That we
Yes.
are.
Yes. We should always repeat the premise of this stream for those who have not joined us today or joined us before. Cole wanted to learn Consul. I know enough-ish about Consul. And I said, you know what? Let's just live stream us learning it together. And so far, it's been interesting. We've had a couple of episodes already. The first one being what is Consul? The second one being let's actually configure a long-awaited goal of yours, Cole. Can you explain this long-awaited goal?
Yes, the long-awaited goal is I have a bunch of servers. I have some apps on them. They can talk to each other, and I can move on. And using Consul to make that process easier. And so in the last one, being able to see how simple it was, because I expected the Consul HCL config file to be like some beast of a thing. It was so pleasant to see it be, what was it, like 4 lines? So other than my typo that cost us about 48 minutes, it went well. Things equal.
It was fine. It was fine. I was gonna do a dramatic recap.
Those always
we're
work.
just well, no, we're not going to do a dramatic recap. You can check out some of the recaps on this channel. We did clip some of the situation, I guess, last week. And in general, there's also some tidbits that both of us learned. For example, did you know that you can pretty print the output of Consul JSON using an API query parameter? I didn't know that.
Yeah, me neither.
Yes.
That was pleasant because then we don't have to say everyone install JQ 100 times. So
yes, it was great. Also, we had no JQ on the machines, which was not great for us. All right. So, today, what are we going to do? Well, we have a mishmash of things, Cole. Do you want to discuss what the mishmash of things are, or do you want me to discuss what they are?
So, we're going to talk about 3 separate topics here. And the first one is going to be I believe we're going to take a look at what's changed in between part 2 and part 3 that the viewer didn't get to see, correct?
Probably, yes. We have not done that yet.
Yes. So that'll be one thing. And that's going to set the grounds for scaling up the infrastructure that supports Consul. We're also going to talk about automating service registration, which is something that I had a question on. The answer is, I wouldn't say a bit more straightforward, but it's not necessarily what I expected. I found an interesting topic. So while we won't necessarily be registering new services, Rosemary is going to walk us through what exactly goes into that process. And then at the end, we're going to get into monitoring and metrics for agents.
Yes. Side note, for those who are tuning in today, you're noticing that we're not streaming on a Friday. This is because there is a holiday weekend in the United States. So if you are watching this playback, there may be less interaction than usual. So just wanted to make that note. All right. So I guess we should start with the first problem, which is we did a service definition. The service definition, Cole, would you mind showing the service definition?
Sure. Yeah, let me bring that up. I have many different files open, but 1 second. I need to get out a split screen here so that we can properly see, and I should probably make this bigger. And now I will share my screen. Okay, so can you see my screen?
I can. If you could bump up one more.
Bump up one more. Alrighty. How about now? Look good?
Better, yes.
Okay, cool. So from the first session, we had our installation, and the way that you can look at what the script is, it's almost a script of steps. And if you're in, by the way, the repository and you're looking at our thing, we have this nice little beginning to end by manual. If you were to start from part 1 and walk through, these are all the different steps that we took. So if you wanted to do it hands-on instead of just using a script, that is an option for you there. But in essence, I don't even know. My words just tripped up there. But what's going on in this script is the beginning was from part one where we installed Consul and got it up and running. So that was one part of it. But in the second part, we set up the systemd unit files, but we also configured the DNS aspect of things. And what Rosemary brought up, the service definition file, correct? Yes. It was just this right here between line 64 and 65. This is all it took to tell Consul about our API service, which to me was, I mean, I expected this thing, like I said, to be very long, but this was all it took.
Yes. Well, Cole, I'm here to tell you that you will not have a 4-line service definition any longer. Sorry.
No.
I apologize. So today, if you could you actually show the Consul UI to us?
Yep. Sure. Well? Let's head over to the Consul UI. I've got this up right here. Can you see it?
Yes, I can. If you go back to all services. So one of the things Cole asked on the last stream was if you click on API and you examine API, there are no service checks. It's kind of grayed out. It's nice to have service checks because you want to know whether or not that service is good or not healthy, right? It's important, especially when you have a number of services, to understand their general health. Yes, we can go into the nuances of health checking, whether or not it's binary, it's somewhere in the middle, service degradation versus truly like failure. But we're just going to talk about health, specifically service health. And there is a way that you can configure service health checks using Consul. So that's what we're going to start with today. And we're going to go in and change that 4-line file, Cole, because
cool.
We have to add more to the service definition.
Yes, nice. Do you want to walk through what we've changed before we go into that part, or do you want to do that after this?
After this, because most of what we changed was for the second part of that.
This is true. Yes. Cool. So I guess that means I will be heading back over to this right here, this 4-line, unless you want me to go edit it directly on the machine itself.
Please edit directly on the machine. We've been doing things mutably. For those who are tuning in, we are going into the machine and editing the files. The reason being is that it saves time. Because if we sit here, you will be watching Terraform running and applying instead of getting into Consul. So
this is very true.
Yes. So it will take us like minutes to more probably to run the script and to get it all started up again. So we're doing all of these mutably. It's not, I'm sorry, everybody, it's not a Terraform stream, but if you want a Terraform stream, maybe we'll do one. I don't know. I'm not committing to it yet, but.
So quick comment and then question for you, Rosemary. First up, audience, you can see all of my failures here. There was a massive pebcac that you guys didn't see that was that Rosemary solved in about, I don't know, was it 5 seconds? So that was impressive. Second, the question for you, Rosemary, when we go to change this service definition file, obviously I need to dive into the API to change the one for the API. But if we were to change anything in a server, would it matter which one we changed it in, or would we always have to pick the specific leader to change it?
For the service definition?
If we were to say like tweak the server in general, just any type of tweaks we wanted to the Consul servers, would we have to go to the leader, or could we just pick any of them and it would propagate?
You can pick any of them and it would propagate. Yep.
Cool. All right. Mm-hmm. Into the API we go.
Yes. But here's the nuance of changing services specifically. You usually change services and do it on a Consul client. Do it against a Consul client. Because a service is registered with a client. The client will then propagate the changes accordingly to the server.
Okay.
So if you have service registered to a client, you must also deregister the same service on the same client. Otherwise, it doesn't know what's going on, right? So
gotcha.
Service, the specifically service definitions must be done with the client in mind, not the server.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Let's say that we had 3 of these API servers running, all with different. Would it matter which one we edited there? Just as long as it's one of them?
Yeah, precisely.
Okay, cool. All right, so we're going to take a look at this console definition file.
However, there's also some nuances there as well. Service instances, there's a lot of different pieces to it. It all depends on your configuration. If they are all registered to the same service, you're fine. But if they're not, then you have to go back and do some other things.
So here we are in the file here. Is that big enough?
One more.
One more.
Yeah, one more.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
One more. Okay.
Okay.
How about now?
So, we are going to add something called a health check. I am going to copy the document. Oh, here we go. Yes, thank you, Blake. See, I knew someone was going to correct me. Clients are authoritative for advertising a specific service instance. If you have an API service registered on 3 agents and you want to update some parameter for all 3 instances, you need to modify the service registration on all 3 client agents.
Oh, wow.
There you are.
Gotcha. Well, now we know.
Now we know. Yes.
Huh. Well, I guess I'll ask later if there's some sort of way to automate that. But for now, let's do the health check.
Well, I think this is also the assumption, right? Like you're being very declarative about like I think there are some real assumptions on this, right? You're being very declarative and you're immutably, right? You're trying to immutably register these services. You're not just mutably changing things updating them in place. And yes, this is easier when an orchestrator like Kubernetes or Nomad is registering the service to Consul.
Gotcha. So then the better way would probably be to stand up the new services, redirect traffic to them, close down the old ones.
Yes.
Gotcha. That would be better. Okay. Well, for now, though, doing it the hard way, right? What are we doing with this health check?
Yes. Okay. So I'm sending you the documentation for health check.
Alrighty.
Yes. This is the benefit of having this stream. Basically, we get the knowledge.
Yeah.
Confirming the knowledge, which is fantastic. Okay. All right. So we're going to add a health check so that we can examine whether or not the API service is actually up and running or if it's just not working for us. I believe somewhere down there is a health check configuration somewhere in here. Maybe scroll up. There's a link under health check, I think. Boop.
Health checks documentation.
Yay.
Checks.
Yes.
And we're looking for the example, right?
Yes, we are looking for a check definition, which is currently in JSON, so we will have to convert that to HTML.
Okay. So will we get looking at an HTTP check? Is that what we're going to look at, or a script one? Or
so the ID API is basically the name of the check. It really doesn't have, or the identifier for said check. Yeah, we are looking for an HTTP check because our service is an HTTP service. As you scroll down in the page, there are additional ones like a TCP check, a time to live check, Docker check, gRPC. There are a number of them.
There are.
Yes.
Nice.
So we are going to do an HTTP check today.
Gotcha. So this is in JSON here. So bringing this over to HCL, is this check thing going to be a nested block inside of the service?
Yes, it will be a nested block.
Gotcha. Ooh, that was a long tab. So this would be check like so, correct?
Yes, I believe it is check. Checks. Okay. Sorry, checks, because we are... I mean, I guess this is one thing that wasn't always clear to me. It's like, do you have... Some of the schema in Consul has checks, right? Which is multiple health checks, which you could have. And then there's just this one check. So does both work or just does the one work?
Yeah. Which one do we use here? This has check. Do we use
try check. Let's just try check for now.
Okay, so we'll do check, and then we ID first.
Yes.
And does it matter? Does this have to match the name?
No, you can name it whatever you desire. We could, I would just say maybe name it API just because it's the API service. Okay. And that's the only health check we're configuring. So.
Yeah. And then name. Okay, this is a longer name, but that works. So this is going to be an HTTP API on port 9090, right?
Yes.
Okay, and then the HTTP field, this is where it goes to check it.
Yes. That is the
Okay.
endpoint by which you will
Gotcha.
connect and check.
So we have an HTTP referencing HTTPS. We do not have HTTPS, so I assume this is just going to be HTTP localhost 9090.
Correct.
That sound, yep. Health. Is it health or was there a V1 thing in front
There's
of
a
it?
health. There is a health.
Just straight health? Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. So that will do that. TLS server name.
You don't need those. I think we can omit them.
Just skip them. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Method.
Get.
Is it going to be post, I assume?
Nope. Get.
Nope. Just get? Okay. Gotcha. And then header. Do we need
Don't
headers?
need it. No,
Okay.
should be fine. Interval
Body?
and timeout. No, no body either, because we're not
No
posting
body?
anything. We're just getting.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So interval. So do we want to leave it 10 seconds?
Yeah.
Yeah, why not?
Why not?
I wonder how many of these are just defaults that we
I mean,
have to
you could
specify.
probably just not have the interval and the timeout, really.
Okay.
I mean,
Let's just
but
try
it's fine.
without it.
We can
Why
check.
not?
There's something in docs. I imagine there's something in docs.
Yeah,
we just
there
haven't looked for
probably
it.
is. Are you looking for it, or do you want me to check for
Yes,
it?
I am looking for it.
Cool.
Checks.
Ugh.
If there are defaults. Ah, yes. So initially only supported configuring a single health check. Consul version 0.5 added support for configuring multiple health checks using checks. So I suppose it's both.
Nice.
I mean, really, we should probably use checks just because it is a, how do I put it? It is the new one going forward, right?
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
So in terms of checks, does that make check a nested block inside of checks?
Well, then you just unnest check, and then you just have that block, right? But we can leave it. Let's leave it. We already wrote it.
Okay.
We only need one health check.
Okay, yeah. Can I see that? Where is that doc on checks, just so I can show any example code to the stream here so they see the difference?
Let me see.
Is check getting deprecated in favor, or is it just an alternative for if you want multiple?
I think it's alternative for now. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't see anything about deprecation, but I'll wait for chat to post any confirmation one way or the other. Okay. Looks like most of the ones I see are specifying interval and timeout. I don't know where the docs are for specific interval and timeout for defaults. So let me see. It's probably somewhere deep into the docs.
Okay.
No planned alternative. No planned deprecation for check. Yay.
Okay.
We are
Gotcha.
happy. I do not see. I think you do have to specify an interval.
Cool.
I don't see anything that indicates there's a default.
Time.
Because
Yeah, I
it
guess
says
it's
scripts. Yeah, it says script checks will be configured with a timeout equal to 30 seconds. But that's.
Oh, but it doesn't
that's
say
a
for the
script
HTTP
check.
ones. Yeah, interesting. Okay, well, just to be
here
safe.
we are. Okay,
Oh.
I found it. I found it. By default, HTTP checks. Okay, by default, HTTP checks are GET requests, so you can remove the GET request.
Okay, nice.
And then by default, HTTP checks will be configured with a request timeout equal to 10 seconds.
Ah, so what we see.
Uh-huh.
And does it have one for the interval?
I see. Oh, interval is 30 seconds.
Ah, okay, nice. So this is the bare minimum here to get going. These
Yes.
three.
I will drop this into the chat, the exact reference.
Nice.
There we go. Cool.
Cool. So is that all we need for the health check?
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, I will save it.
Okay. In the previous stream, when we were registering the service, what we did was restart Consul, right? We restarted the Consul client, and then it picked everything. It picked up the new service definition.
That's right, we did.
We're going to try a command that personally I have never issued before, so we're going to try it. You had asked the question, how exactly do you do more dynamic service registration, right? So, let's say you deployed something and you did need to re-register the service for some reason or another. How would you do it? There is apparently a Consul reload command.
Okay.
Yes. And Consul reload will re-register the service definitions.
There we go. Yeah, look at that.
Yes. So we shall reload the configuration files, which we have changed just API. We have not touched the client configuration. We have not touched any other configuration other than the service definition for API. So
gotcha. So
we should
just for my own
yes
recap here, what we did is we went into the service definition file for API. We added a health check for Git, but now we need to make Consul aware of that. What we did in the last time was restart it, but this time we're going to use the reload command, which should pick those changes up, and that should be all we have to do.
Precisely.
Cool. So Consul reload.
Now, if we bork everything, we borked everything. Oh.
Well, interval must be greater than 0 for script HTTP. So it looks like it does need to have the interval in there, I guess.
Interesting.
That is interesting.
Oh, no, I didn't. Well, I read that wrong. It was my fault. I read it wrong. That's not a pebcac, though. It says waiting specified interval amount of time between requests, e.g. 30 seconds. It is not default 30 seconds. It is e.g. Okay. 30 seconds. So, yes, you do need an interval.
What do we want the interval as here?
Just 30 seconds. We don't want to,
Okay, cool.
I don't think we don't need, frequent health checking. I don't think.
Yeah. So let's go. Let's just try that. Let's see what happens now. All right, configuration reload triggered. So this means we should be able to go over to the UI here, right? And see this fail.
Well, the good news is that it's existent. The bad news is that
it's failing. Oh, it changed.
Yeah. Look at that.
Yeah. So now it's changed. Wow.
All right. Very nice.
That was way quicker than I thought it'd be.
Yes. Shall we repeat it on web, or would you like to do this?
Let's do it. Let's do it, just so we can get the repetition here.
Yes.
So let me get that. So now we will hop over to web client.
Yes. So as you're doing that, as a side note for those correcting my former mistake. So if we had multiple instances of API, so we had an API VM1, API VM2, API VM3, we would need to go back to each API virtual machine, update the configuration with the health check as such, and reload all of them and make sure that they are all the same. So making sure we are clear on that. We do not have multiple instances of API, so we shall be fine. But right now we have web. We have web and API. That's all we got.
Yeah, that's all we got. Okay, and then this time we do need an interval. We'll keep that to 30 seconds as well. And that, do I see any typos? I do not. I think that looks good. So we will go with that.
By the way, for those who are hearing the cat, that is not my sound effect.
Oh, you can hear that? Darn.
It's fine.
All right, well, I'll just ignore Josie for now. Hopefully she'll go find something else to do. So now we'll do our Consul reload. So hopefully everyone saw what I did there. I just went into web, added that check block. So we'll reload. And now let's hop back over to the UI, go into services, into web, and it looks like the health check's already passing. Wow. Well, that took a lot less time than I thought. So if it seems then that if we were to make any changes to services, if you needed to and weren't doing it from an immutable standpoint, this is how you would do it. You would have to do it when off, but running a Consul reload seems to take care of everything, and don't really see Let's see if this is still up. Yep, this still works
Still up.
just fine. So
Yeah.
nice.
Yes. So effectively, it favors we favor doing everything immutably. I think, you declare the configuration you want, and any changes you decide, you should likely create a new client for it rather than do a mutable change. There are times when that is not a possibility, and in which case, in this situation, this will probably work.
Yeah.
Oh.
Regardless, just for my own commentary, whenever I am personally trying to automate stuff, I will almost always do it manually, like we're doing here, because then afterwards, you know exactly what you got to write the script for. So this is still helpful from a learning standpoint.
Yeah. Oh, as a note, why we saw the fail, the little X. Service health check defaults to being in a critical state when a service is registered and would only transition to passing if the health check is successful, which is why we saw it wait for a second. The initial state of a health check can be configured using the status param on the service registration. So, Cole, if you wanted to make it so it passed by default, then you could change the status parameter. But
gotcha.
I'd rather have it fail first, so.
Yeah. Configuring it to default to success seems very optimistic. But
all right.
that works.
I know. But it's good. It's good to know for those who are tuning in and like, why is there a little passing? Like, why does it not pass immediately? Well, it is health checking. So it takes a little time, but it's good.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was that. We're moving along.
Yep.
We checked the health of a service, and then we changed the service definition without restarting Consul. Instead, we use Consul reload. Cole, what is next?
Well, I have a question first.
Oh, okay.
So if I wanted to, for whatever reason, and I was playing the mutable game, and I wanted to add, say, another service, let's just call it like payments, and we wanted it to be on the client nodes, the process would be the same. Like I would just go in, change the service file, add, or would I make a brand new one, or would you keep them all in the same file?
I think that I would split them in separate files. Like you could register a new one you could register a second service on the host, right? Keeping in mind, like you don't want port collisions, etc. But imagine your payment service ran on port 8080. You could run them on the same host. And you could register it to Consul, and you can just add another service definition to the config. I would not just squish two service definitions together in the same file, just because if you decide you don't want one or you don't want the other, or you want to edit one or the other, it can get a little verbose. So it's probably better to split them out.
Yeah. But after the fact, if we were to do like a VI like payments.html coded in, we would still just do Consul reload and we'd be good to go.
You could try it. Copy the web HCL.
Okay. The problem being that we don't actually have the thing up, right?
Yeah, we had just failing health check.
Oh, okay, that works. Okay, that works. So let's just do. Actually, let me cap this.
Like I said, if we bork it, we bork it. It's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, it wouldn't exist, but that's fine.
Yeah. Oop. Payments. We'll just change that to 9091 for. All right. Okay. What is the command? Consul something catalog to see the different
services.
Okay. Well, there it is. Let's go over here and see what's up. Ah, wow. So that is easy. That's amazing. I mean, it's not working, but that's because it's not really there. But that's awesome. So now to get rid of that, I should just be able to get rid of that, right? And reload it and we'd be fine.
Yeah, try it.
Okay.
and something that Blake pointed out is that you can use Consul Services Register, so you can register the service via the HTTP API instead of putting the configs in a directory. Cool. You can instead use an HTTP API to do it, and you don't need to do reload. So.
Gotcha. Wow. Well, that's already gone. So, geez, that is way easier to put those things up. So the only thing missing, of course, is the actual app being live on the node. But nice.
Yeah.
All right.
So 2 ways to do it for those who are tuning in. There's the HTTP API. You can do a Consul Services Register and Consul Services Deregister. This will allow you to keep the config files, but you would pass and register them by HTTP API. So make sure you keep the config files, because I've done that before where I registered them and I deleted the config files, and then I couldn't deregister them correctly. So, yes, keep that in mind. Very important. Gotcha. Or you can, yeah, exactly. Or you can add it to your config directory for Consul, add the service definition to the config directory for Consul, and do a Consul reload. That is, I guess, the midway immutable way to do it. And then there's the completely immutable way to do it, which you add a new config, create a completely new client, and register that, and then decommission the old client.
And that would look like coming into here, doing what we did, doing another Terraform apply, letting it kill the old instance and point the traffic to the new one.
Precisely.
Cool. All right. Well, there's our adventure in health check land. So
yeah,
what's next?
We did it. Well, let's print out. How many servers do you have?
Right now we have. Well, first up, you can see all of my. Oh, yeah, you cleaned them up. So we've got 3 Consul servers, and then of course we have the API and the web client, which is different from last time. Would you like me to step through what's changed since then?
Yes, please.
Okay, gotcha. So in this part, we're trying to tackle the concept of scaling the servers themselves and also scaling the clients. And to get this done, obviously, we don't want to just loop through and just make a bunch of instances. So we're taking advantage of the AWS auto-scaling groups and launch templates. So what's changed since you last joined us, dear viewer, is we've gotten rid of the one-off instances that we were using for the server, the client API, and the client web, and we converted all of the data for those into separate launch templates. So here we have a launch template for the Consul server, for the Consul client web, and for the Consul client API. In essence, you can think about what we did if you're not as familiar with AWS is we took the AWS instance, and this is like the blueprint for an instance. So then we hand it over to our auto scaling groups, which then take said blueprint, that is the launch template. And from that, we can set our counts here to spawn any number of instances with those configurations, which is what we've gone ahead and done. Now, if from the last stream you're recalling, well, Cole and Rosemary, you guys only had one API and one web last time. That doesn't look scaled. You're right, it hasn't, because we haven't increased the count yet. We've just gone ahead and set that to 1 because we're going to deal with that partially on the stream. But what we have gone ahead and done is set the Consul servers to begin with 3 instead of just with 1. And that actually, depending upon what Rosemary believes here, was a was a large pepcac by myself, because what it pointed out was that in terms of the security groups and the traffic between servers, there is, last time we added in these rules right here, 8301 and 8300, to allow LAN, gossip, and RPC traffic from the clients to the server. And it turns out that for servers, server to server communication, you also need to open those 2 ports up for them to talk to each other as well. And then aside from that, we just had a couple of changes to the load balancer, in the sense that when you're working with an auto scaling group, you don't need to explicitly attach to a target group. You just tell the target group what it's going to be a part of in the auto scaling group right here. And if that doesn't make any sense to you, it's not really important, so don't worry about it. But there we go. That's my 2 cents.
Thank you. We actually have an interesting question in the chat. I think we should explore it, just because I'm not sure of the answer, and it's a good question. So the question is, will the service registration persist if you use Consul Services Register? and the config file doesn't exist under the console directory. So if you do a services register and then you do a console reload, would that take away the service?
I am confused. What is, so how can I create the answer for this question?
Could you register, so could you create payments.hcl again?
Yes, I can.
Let's give it a try. Why not? Based on the documentation, it says that it has to be paired with an explicit service deregistration, but I'm not sure, so why not try it? We'll see. And if you can move the payments.hcl out of etc console D.
To where? Just here at the root?
Yeah, root is fine. Somewhere.
Oh, so because this is just me not knowing how the register command works. You pass an HCL file to register. Is that correct?
You can.
Okay,
yeah.
Gotcha. And that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Gotcha.
I mean, we could just also do console services register -name, I think, but we'll just do it this way because why not? It's not that much additional.
Yep. Payments 91.
We could probably even delete the checks.
Oh yeah, we could. But
it's fine. We've already configured it. You're
good. Okay, so now
console
that it's services, help, subcommand, options, args. So do we just do like services, register. And then and then the file?
Yep.
Huh. Okay, cool.
Okay.
Yeah, that did it. Catalog, services. Yeah, that looks like it's there. Let's go.
Can you, there we go. Can you ls etc/console.d just to show that we don't have payments.hcl in it? It's just web, et cetera, et cetera.
Yep.
Okay, and then can you run a console reload? And let's see if, I don't think it will deregister it.
Okay. And then.
But let's see. That's like.
Still there.
Yeah, okay, so here we go. So that's interesting. There's the premise, but there's a premise that, you know, maybe it will do something, but no. If you register it by services register, and you do a reload, it will not delete it.
Gotcha.
So then you must do an explicit service deregistration.
Yeah. So whichever flavor you pick with, that's the flavor you need to stick with.
Precisely.
That makes sense.
It's a good. This is good exploration. I appreciate we did this. Yes.
Yeah. So now we can go ahead and get rid of it. And I assume we need to pass it the same file.
Yes.
Yep.
I have done this where I deleted the file after.
Now what happens? You just have to recreate the file?
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't just pick the name of a service specifically and just be like, yo, get rid of it.
I think I tried that once or twice and it didn't ever really work as well as I thought it would. So
there's a way, but probably not a way you want to play with.
Right, exactly. And thank you for the question from chat. It's a fantastic question. And now we know. Today we learned.
Right. So there is the service registration stuff. So were there any other questions or things we wanted to explore in that before we moved to the scale stuff again?
No, I think that's it.
Cool.
Okay.
Gotcha. So for the scale thing, Rosemary, one of my many questions that I had as I was doing this, because again, what we did is instead of hard launching an EC2 instance to serve as our server, we have an auto scaling group that will spawn any number of them. In the script, let's just take a look at it so we can see it here. These two arguments are what really tripped me up in terms of understanding. The bootstrap expect. Bootstrap expect is the number of servers that are expected to be there when we're first starting this up. But to my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, once the servers are up the first time, this does not matter.
No.
No. Okay, gotcha. Meaning if I add 2 more servers, it won't care.
If you add 2 more servers right now that you already have established a leader, elected a
Yep.
leader, it should not care.
Okay, gotcha. So in terms of making these scale up, the only thing that we needed to change in this script was adding this retry join so that they knew how to connect with each other. Because in the previous version, this was not here. This was only a part of the web and API clients to get them to join each other. But obviously the services need to join as well.
Yes.
What I wanted to ask you, Rosemary, was all of them are joining through the same common tag, the name of our project. Is that always the case, or should servers should they have had their own tag to join each other, or is the joining just in general for that one tag?
I mean, I think it depends in some ways. If you're using an auto scaling group and you've got a separate launch template for the servers, then server true, right? Because you have line 26 server true.
Mm-hmm.
That's identifying that it is a server, and
Mm-hmm.
that is what makes the difference and differentiates it from the client. So you might not need the tag for a server. You might just be able to get away with a singular tag key like you have here. But I
Mm-hmm.
imagine if you were doing this in a more generic way where you were trying to use or differentiate based specifically on tag, you probably would want to have additional tag key that's like Consul server or something like that.
But yeah. I guess I know that's probably more specific to cloud auto join. I just wonder what would have happened had we used, say, like Consul server as our tag value and Consul client as the value for these other two, if they would have still been smart enough to join the same cluster.
I think so, because it is using Go Discover under the hood, and really it's picking and pulling the tag values. So as long as the tag values are what you expect them to be, then it will just join, right? They'll still be joining. Although we could try it. I mean, although maybe not.
Should probably go it from ground zero up again if we wanted to try that. But
wait, brain. Okay, brain. I see what you mean. I don't think the console clients will join the server. Brain.
Okay.
Sorry.
Because we're all part of the same group.
Yes, because they need to all be part of the same tag group. Sorry. I'm like, I would almost expect it to be Friday brain, but it's not Friday brain. I'm like, wait a second. Hold on.
Yeah.
Sorry. Back up, everybody. We're going to cut that out in the recording. But I imagine because retry join is picking and pulling the pool from the pool of servers, I think if you do retry join and you retry join Consul servers, as long as the tag is the same as the Consul servers, you're fine. But if it's Consul clients versus Consul servers, the Consul clients will never find the servers.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Because that's how because this server, you have them all joined through the same tag, because the server true or false is what it uses to differentiate what it is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they all have to be in the same pool. It's just like if you were to do this manually without Cloud Auto Join, you would need to say, here are the sets of servers that I need you to say hi to, right? Or these are the sets of, so you need some awareness. As long as the servers are of the same tag, you're pretty much good. You can have different tags on the clients themselves.
Yeah, what surprised me going through this and was just how little needed to change between the config files for the server and the client.
Yeah.
That all said, I do feel like I'm missing something in terms of understanding the scale, because yes, we've made it so that all these different pieces, so our server, and our clients, we have them set up to where we can just push a number on the auto scaling groups and have them go up or down. And is that all we need to do at this point to have more servers and have more clients?
Yeah, we could just give it a try. You can set desired to 5, and we'll see if they register themselves.
So what do we want to start with the servers?
Yeah, start with the servers. We can't really, I don't know, did you set up the clients to scale too? The API and web? Oh, okay. Cool.
So we'll come into here and we will set this to 5. Fun fact in the background, the desired capacity is actually the number that's used to push it up or down. So when you want 4 servers, you actually have to change the desired to 4, which to me, when I first started,
to 3, right?
Oh yeah, we can keep that. Yeah, we can keep that to 3. Although that might, let's go ahead and try it here. The desired is what's changed to go up and down when you want it to go. So let's see what goes here. But for the web and the API, it should be as simple as just we add more and take away less as well, right?
Repeat that. Sorry.
For these other two, it should be the same process, right? We just switch how many we have, and that should do it.
Yes, that should.
Yeah, okay. So let's go to instance management here. So we've got our values going up. So these should be going in. Wait, where's my thing? There we go. Okay. Well, there are always 5. I guess this number would update once those get up. But yeah.
The question is how long it takes them to come up.
This is a good question. Well, they're already healthy, so at least in my experience of launching and getting rid of who knows how many the other day, it should only take a minute or two. Well, any interesting tidbits around this or thoughts that you've had as we've been going through it?
So I don't claim to know this very well. I will preface this. I don't claim to know this very well. But you'll notice we are working in prime numbers effectively. So you can't have one Consul server that's not highly available. If that one server goes down, goodbye. So you notice that we are scaling in factors of sorts like prime numbers, so 3, 5, etc. I don't tend to know the mathematics behind this very well, but I believe it has to do with quorum, right? So when you have Consul servers, right, and they are trying to, to say, okay, the cluster, I am available, I am working. So you need some factor of that prime. I'm going to drop a note to consensus, drop a paper.
Because otherwise, if it's an even number, they can get hung up in their vote. Whereas if it's a prime, there's always a way to get quorum.
Precisely, yes.
I remember when I was first getting into Vault and they were like, well, there's like quorum and this key gets split into like 5 pieces and then it gets thrown together. I'm like, is this sci-fi? Like, what is going on here?
That's, like, it's Raft.
Oh,
so
here we go. 5 instances all up and working.
We have servers.
Nice.
So notice we didn't change bootstrap expect. We didn't. The server was already bootstrapped with 3 servers. And we just scaled. We needed, let's say, more servers. So we scaled up the auto scaling group and they registered themselves.
That's amazing. And what's nice too is we don't have sticky sessions turned on for our load balancer. So it pings any given one of them and they all take us to the same place, which is nice. So, all right. So answer me this: what would happen if we scaled down to 1? Is that going to mess our whole operation up here, or?
Well, it probably will be fine. It will force leader election to the one remaining one. If you somehow accidentally scale down the leader, the existing leader, because again, you've already bootstrapped it. So scaling down shouldn't be.
Yeah. Do we want to try it?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. Let's hope that hopefully it doesn't. Mess everything up, but my curiosity wants to see exactly what happens. So
I mean, we did claim we're learning this the difficult way, so you know, we might as well go and do this exercise.
Here we go. Nice. And then I guess after this we'll get into scaling up the actual clients to see how that goes.
Yes.
Neat. This should be faster because it's just terminating.
No, because it's trying to gracefully disconnect.
Actually,
which will take
like one of ours
while.
Did not actually finish. So. Oh well. Hopefully that doesn't confuse it.
It's fine. It will. I think it's going to try to gracefully disconnect, in which case you may not get a rapid scale down. So.
Okay. Yeah. Wonder what it'll show in here as it goes. Let's see. What other questions did I have in terms of scale? Oh, yes. That was a question I asked you when we first got on this. How often are you going to be scaling your Consul servers up and down? Like, is this an area where you would want to say set up automated auto scaling, which is me just repeating the same word twice, but leaving it to something like CPU checks or some other metric to automatically take them down or up? Or is that something you think should be better potentially done by hand?
It's a good question. I'm sure if
Yeah.
someone is like reviewing the playback, they'll probably have an answer to this, and I think it will depend heavily on your setup, right, and how much you're actually really how much you're using. You probably want to set up some auto scaling, but I don't expect the servers to really do too much dynamic scaling, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I think so. I mean, right now, a lot of the folks that I talk to, at least more recently, are favoring smaller console clusters rather than really, really, really massive large ones. Although there are people who do run huge console clusters with many console servers in them. I don't.
Okay.
There is the console scale challenge, which does have. I think what I was surprised about was that the console scale challenge used like 3 servers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I'll drop that into the chat. But I think it was 3 servers. I remember asking. Yeah, it was 5 console servers. And effectively it was like 356,000 container instances.
Wow.
And
Wow.
10,000 effectively 10,000 EC2 instances. So 10,000 nodes, clients.
So 10,000 EC2 instances with console clients as console clients.
Yeah. So it was 3. Yeah. So
Wow.
it was 5 servers, and then it was 10,000 Nomad client nodes.
Wow.
And then yeah. So I assume it's because it's a console agent per node. So then it's about 10,000 clients.
Wow, that gives me a much better idea of how many are needed or not needed. That's
right.
Crazy.
So that's why I'm like, when you were asking the question to me, I was like, it's not like you could set it, but
yeah,
it does. The servers do a pretty decent job. So you may or may not. You may or may not need to do that. And since people tend to favor smaller console clusters in general, and smaller ones in multiple environments, multiple data centers, you might not have to scale the console servers that often. Now the clients do scale, because it depends on number of instances, service instances you want. But I don't think you need to do that much dynamic auto scaling of servers.
Gotcha. That makes sense. So when you're saying smaller clusters, you're specifically referring to smaller clusters of the servers, right? Gotcha. All right. Speaking of servers, it looks like ours have gone down. And let's see what's changed here.
Yeah. I was just like thinking to myself, I remember this number. And it was because I was surprised talking to Paul and Mishra, who ran the scale experiment, of how few servers there were. I was like, oh, look, there are only 5 of them.
So this does not seem to like what we did. Why is it showing?
I think this is probably because it's electing a new leader.
Okay. So
but also it's disconnecting from the load balancer as well, right?
Yeah.
Because it probably disconnected the leader.
Here we go. But it comes in here and it still says there's 5. I guess we should probably just go into the instance itself and see what's going on. Okay.
Yeah, so you have to basically, so just as services have a deregistration sequence, right? Nodes also have, console members also have a deregistration sequence as well, right? So keep in mind it's not immediate. What you're going to have some burn down period of time where it's trying to elect and find a new leader, but also, you're also getting deregistration. You also have to do some deregistration as well of the members.
Yeah.
So.
Gotcha. So these are the logs right now. It looks like we've got some errors.
Do you know who is the leader?
I do not, but this is the only one. since we
Yeah.
killed all but one, right?
Consul, can you do Consul members?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So we have
Failed.
one server that's alive.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And can you do Consul, I think status leader or something?
Oop, console.
What is it? Consul. I don't remember. It's Consul status leader, Consul.
Members, maybe?
No.
No, that's not it.
I think it is a console operator, maybe? It was an operator.
Okay.
Check console operator. Or you can do console info, which will also tell you more information. All right, let's see.
Leader false.
Yeah. So it is probably thinking about what exactly to do.
Okay, gotcha. So it does not have a leader.
Mm-hmm.
And in terms of the status, it's still complaining about not being able to make a vote. So tell me, would this be related to the fact that when we set that bootstrap expect, we said 3, you got to have 3, and it doesn't. And so it's like, I don't know, I'm waiting for 2 more, or is it something else?
No, I think it's something else. I think it's taking a bit of time. Can you do console operator raft? Yeah, and then do list peers. So this will tell you the peers as it's examining and thinking.
Okay.
It might be just it's taking a little bit of time.
Failed. No cluster.
Yeah, no cluster leader. All right, well, I don't believe it's coming from Bootstrap Expect.
Is it because when you get rid of a server, is there like extra stuff you need to do aside from just killing it? Because if we do members here, it still seems to be attached to this idea that there should be 4 other ones.
I'm looking.
Okay, cool.
Okay. So let's see. Because we scale down to 1, so it should be thinking about it, at least.
Mm-hmm. But based on the status, it looks like it's still trying to reach out to those other ones.
Let's see. Both of these strategies, I am looking failure of multiple servers. In an event that multiple servers are lost, causing a loss of quorum and a complete outage, partial recovery is possible using data on the remaining servers in the cluster. There may be data lost because multiple servers were lost. Recovery process implicitly commits all outstanding RAF log entries, so it's possible to commit the data that was before the failure. See the manual recovery using, we don't really need a recovery necessarily. There's a peers.json, manual recovery using peers.json. To begin, stop all remaining servers. You can attempt the graceful leave, but it will not work in most cases. Yeah, so it looks like we cannot seem to get
So I just borked it.
Pretty much.
Okay.
That's fine.
So if we were to add back, say, 2 more servers, is there any chance that would perhaps fix it?
I don't believe so.
Because it's still looking for these other ones here.
Yeah, but you can try it. Why not?
Why not? I mean, it's going to come up with new IPs. They'll join. Maybe it'll be like, okay, well, I've got some new friends, so we'll just use those. But since it seems that one of the ones that went down was a leader, maybe that's who it's waiting for. What I should have tried first was scaling. Well, no, we did. We tried scaling up to 5. Perhaps I should have tried scaling down to 3 first, just to see, instead of going all the way down to 1.
I mean, that's probably why we went into this anyway, so.
Yeah. Okay,
Mhm.
well, we'll wait for that. In the meantime, for this recovery thing, what would be the steps for us to like take a look at that?
So there is so I think we're going to need to do outage recovery, right? So
Okay.
here, I'll show you can go through this. Manual
Okay.
recovery, Kubernetes specific recovery. So we need the peers.json. We can go through it. It should be fine. Let me message that, and that way we can go through the process. Here we are.
Cool.
Okay. Okay. So stop all remaining servers. So systems in your one left, I think. You have
Now there's going to
one.
be two more in a second because
Oh.
I went ahead and bumped those other ones.
Oh.
I mean, I can get rid of them real quick, but
It's fine. They're going to start
yeah,
up, and I think they won't be pleased. But who knows?
yeah, I don't think it'll probably won't care, but
Mm-hmm.
let's give it a second. But anyhow, just so we can go ahead and get on this. So what will need to happen is I'll need to kill the remaining ones.
Yep.
And by kill, like I go in here and I just get rid of it. Or
No,
is there
it's
something
just systemctl stop on the one
ah,
that's left.
oh, so just stop console.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But don't
Okay.
do it on the clients, just the servers.
Yeah. Let me wait for this thing to come up just so it doesn't cause any
Yeah.
crap while we're
Yeah. Yes.
doing that.
Yes.
Uh,
Well, you
well,
learned.
yeah. So so the lesson learned here, it seems that if you were going to scale down your servers, it is not as simple as just shut them down. There's some other stuff that should have happened. Probably manually forcing the one you're not going to kill to be a leader, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then getting rid of the other ones.
Well, I think part of this comes down to I think part of this is that you've lost quorum.
Yeah, among other things.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I
But
think you kind of just was like, bloop, all of them be gone, and then
yeah,
it killed the ones that wasn't. It might not have been a bootstrap node. So
yeah, yeah. And if the gossip, I guess, wasn't finished communicating all the data in between, that's how the data loss would happen.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, now we know. So we did it. So other people don't have to. So there is that.
Yeah, well, you know something? This is one of those things that we were planning to add telemetry. Not that we need to really right now. It's one stanza. So now we can go and do the recovery process, which I guess is
Yeah.
also valid to learn.
Yeah. So now these other servers are alive, but it's
Uh,
still pretty mad. So
well,
I guess
well,
it doesn't care.
election timeout reached, restarting election. So let's
Yeah.
print out and see if console status and see if there is something. If it no,
It's still just.
console status. Console info, sorry.
Oh, yeah. Where was that thing with the leader? Yeah, still leader false, no leader address.
Yeah.
I wonder could it be because these are still initializing? No, they're up now. And if we go over here, this is still gonna hang. And it still thinks that they're supposed to be 5. Great. Okay. Well, there's that. So we should probably, do you think we should get rid of these 2 that we just started up or just go right into the recovery process?
Yeah. I don't think the other 2 will help us. So we should probably just remove them if we can.
Okay. Now I've got to identify which ones.
I don't think they just keep them up for now and then we'll see what happens.
Okay. So I need to shut down the server here.
Well, actually, do one thing. Can you do console operator autopilot state? There is this thing called autopilot, which will clean up dead servers, etc. So we can see if there's some more information there.
Okay. What was that command again?
Autopilot.
Okay.
And then, console operator autopilot state. So let's see what it thinks it has.
Sounds good. It's still like there's no cluster leader.
He is
So
not pleased. All
it is
right.
not.
Well,
So I guess time to do the recovery thing.
yes, I think that is the only option.
Gotcha. So first thing is to stop it, correct?
Yes, so systemctl stop server.
Okay. Oop. Yeah, what did I name the service?
Status stop console, right? Isn't
Oh,
it
okay.
just console?
Yeah, for some reason I thought that there was a different file up there for what we put, but I'm thinking of the clients.
Yes.
All right, so it's now stopped.
Okay, and then based on this, okay, so go into the data directory
Okay.
of the console. So do you remember the data directory?
It is apparently opt/console.
Yes. All right.
Okay.
And then go into Raft. And then there should be a peers.info.
There it is.
If you can print out peers.info.
Ooh. Okay.
So there's, yeah. So here, peers.json is only used in recovery. Please configure for Raft protocol version. This should be formatted, etc., etc., etc. Raft protocol version 3 and later. This should be formatted JSON. Configuring node, address, etc. Okay. So we basically need to format a peers.json.
Yeah, because it's saying under normal operation peers.json will not be present. So it looks like then what we would need to do is it seems like it wants us to up 3 servers, right? Create a peers.json, and then I guess restart it with that peers.json there.
Yes.
And we would have to know the actual addresses of those other ones.
Right.
Okay, cool. So this should be formatted as JSON array, the node ID, address port.
This can be found in the logs when the server starts up. It was auto-generated. It can also be found in the node ID file in the server's data directory. So this is the one that, this one should have a node data directory somewhere.
Okay.
If you CD. Yeah.
Yep.
Node ID. So cat. Yeah. So the node ID. Oh, sudo. Okay. So we need that node ID in peers.json.
Gotcha. And that's going to be, yeah, that's what we're going to need. So we would need to get these for the other 2 instances as well.
That is correct.
Okay. So neat. Let me, are we going to need to make this file in all of them or just on one of them?
We will need them on all 3.
Okay. In that case, I'm going to just make a dummy file here and just use it as a file to put the stuff in.
And make sure you stop all the other servers because you created the other 2, right? Or did you scale them down? Okay.
Yeah, I created the other 2.
Yeah, go into the other 2 and then...
And get their IDs as well.
Yes.
So we have one ID here. So we'll just go ahead and do this one as that. The address for this one is 10.255.3.120. So there's that. Does non-voter need to be false for all of them?
Yes. It looks like non-voter controls whether or not the server is non-voter, which is used in some advanced autopilot configuration. If omitted, it will default to false, which is typical for most clusters.
Okay, cool. So we'll leave that one. And then we will go into the next one. Did I do that one yet? 10.255.3.120. Nope. Well, I didn't think we would be doing outage recovery, but I I guess
we're gonna add it to the agenda. You know, we didn't expect to do it, but here we are doing this. So we'll be fine. And
Here's the next one. This is 10.255 to 15. And then finally, the last one. Nope, that's not it. Here it is. In fact, let's go ahead and just add this one here. And so I'm guessing then to get this to work, I need to go back to that original server and set it up there, right?
you need to
Since
go
it would
to
have the
all of
data?
them.
Oh, okay. Okay,
Yeah.
so just start it here then. Gotcha.
Yeah. So you
Yeah.
got all of them. Make sure the IP addresses are right. If you go back,
Mhm.
yeah, and then
Yeah.
the node IDs are right, and then and then after, basically you have to go into each server, paste this peers.json in the raft, in that raft
Oh, okay.
opt, yeah, in opt console raft or whatever it seems. You have to paste the peers.json.
Oh, so put it in here. Okay.
Yes, for each server. So you have to do that for
Okay.
every server, and then you start each server.
Okay. Gotcha.
At least this is. Let me just. Yes. Simply create entries for all the servers. You must confirm the servers you do not include here have indeed failed and will not rejoin the cluster. Ensure that this file is same across all remaining server nodes. At this point, you can restart all the remaining servers.
Gotcha. So I should probably stop the server here first.
Did you stop all of them? Yeah.
I did not.
Stop all of them. All of
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, this is. Okay, let me go to the other one real quick. And then we'll just start at the top and begin again. This could be worse. Oop. I don't know what I was typing there. Okay. So.
Yeah. So stop all the servers.
All right. Now those are all done. Now we can go back to our OG, who was not, because that totally did not work out the way that I thought it would. And now we will go into opt console raft.
Okay, while you do that,
JSON.
I am going to lower the blinds because everybody's getting like sun. Hold on.
Yep, sounds good. So there's one. Now let's move on to the next server. At that point where like you've written the same commands so many times that you start questioning if you're spelling it right and if that's even the command. And how is Ubuntu really spelled? Wait, am I just skipping a step here? I am. Yes, I almost just logged in and logged out for no reason. That would have been great. Wrong thing in clipboard. Okay, now we can move on to the next one, which is this one right here. Okay. Now, unless I have completely zoned out while I was going through those, they should all have that file now.
Yay!
So my question here is, do we need to return to the original one that we had that didn't die, since it's probably the only one that has the data, and start it there first?
Probably a good assumption. It doesn't say,
Okay.
but
Okay.
I would recommend we go to the original one.
Alrighty. Just going to make sure that did make it in here. It did. Okay. So we've got the right addresses. We have the node IDs for all of them, meaning we should now what? Be able to just restart it?
Yes.
All right.
Everybody's like waiting, like, will this get started? Okay, so if you do status, we should, it should tell you that there's a peers.json or something. Or maybe that we might need a journal CTL. It might have gone, woo. Okay.
I mean, it looks like that looks good, right?
There should be a
error.
console.
Maybe the election's messing up because I haven't restarted the other ones yet. Should I go restart those?
Yeah, give it a try.
Okay.
It doesn't. It does not. Yes, it does not say what. Like it just says start them all. So.
Okay.
But I just don't think it even picked up the peers.json.
Oh, okay. So maybe
I
we
don't
should
know.
go back.
You probably want to just check the logs.
Okay. So which logs here?
Can you do journal CTL? I don't. Was that journal CTL? What is the process? Journal CTL. I don't remember my journal CTL right now.
I don't either.
Journal CTL. I think it's journal CTL-F console-F console or something like that. Oh gosh. Let's see.
It's the follow the journal.
Oh, -U. Sorry, journal CTL-U space console-F.
Space. Sorry, what was that again? Console.
Space -F.
Oh.
Just is console journal CTL-U console.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then just that. Yeah. Gotcha.
There you go. Okay, so it didn't like it very much. Well, it looks like
this was 6 minutes ago.
Oh, this was 6 minutes ago because you shut it down. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Did you restart it on this node?
Mm-hmm. I did.
Oh, okay. And then what does it say?
That. Wait, so do you want me to
do system CTL status console?
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's still failing.
It didn't like it.
Yeah. Shut down, complete, stopped it altogether. I wonder, I mean, this is the correct one. Do you think it has to do with the fact that the other ones aren't up though?
Can you do it on 120 on the IP address that ends in 120, the original one?
Sorry, can you say that again?
So you remember there was the one server.
Mm-hmm.
Can you go back to that one server?
Yeah, this is that server.
No, I thought it was 120.
It was whatever the. You're right. Okay, well, I wasn't on the one server. Jeez. Okay. Maybe that is the source of our problems.
Can you do journal CTL-F, journal CTL -U console-F, the whole? You may have to run a sudo, but I'm not sure. Okay.
So yeah, it's still failing to do the to make the vote. And it looks like it's trying to connect to the other ones.
Right. But the other ones aren't started, or they are started?
They're not started. So
okay, can you start the other two? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. This time, let's go to 15. Hopefully it's just that. Let's just make sure that it wasn't up. Yeah, so this just straight up stopped. That's because I went and actually stopped it. So we should just be able to start it here. And then 220. Yeah, this did just happen. Still not going up. So is there something we need to do to point it to that peers.json?
Can you copy the exec start command there?
This one.
Yes. And can you run it manually?
Yeah, sure. Let's try it.
Okay. See, it doesn't have access to node ID. Oh, now here we go. Okay. Recovery failed. Refused to start. Recover cluster with no initial state. Uh-oh.
Huh.
Yeah.
You think maybe that it's the original one didn't have the state for the other ones got shut down?
It probably has part to do with this, yes.
Yeah, because I mean, otherwise they should all be linking up, but this seems to not. Yeah, because it's saying right here, found the peers.json file, but then said that there was no initial state. So that, was there something else we were supposed to add there?
No, I don't think there is. I'm looking and I don't think there is.
Okay. So just to move through, we can continue down the outage here, but I think perhaps because it even says in those docs, it's like there's probably going to be data loss, right? Because of just the nature of what it was. Are there any other things you think we can do to recover from this, or do you think at this point we just remake the servers?
We probably have to remake the servers. We could. There's a suggestion in the chat to up the verbosity. Let's. I don't know if we'd get more information out of it, to be honest. If you could go back to the original. Wait.
Okay.
If you go back to the original.
Okay. That works.
Yeah, I think part of our problem was that we gave it two servers that had pretty much like didn't have data on it either, and is not aware of exactly what is going on.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's still just this one. What I find interesting is this one's not complaining about a lack of what do you call it? A lack of state, though, right? If that was the case, shouldn't this one fail as well?
It's not the lack of state. I think it just doesn't have any of the other no cluster leader. I think it's missing logs. Can you journal ctl-u console again?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's saying connection refused, but it's also because it can't start it because the other ones don't know. Like the other ones, my concern is that the other ones have no state because they were never part of the cluster to begin with.
Yeah. Isn't this thing supposed to pass? Yeah, because failed sync state.
Yeah.
Cluster
but like
still.
The other two won't even start.
Yeah.
Because
they just get annoyed.
Yeah.
Yay.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, I don't know if increasing the verbosity will necessarily help in this situation, because part of this is that the other two, for those who were catching up on this, basically we started the other two servers after we had borked the cluster. So the other two servers don't really have much awareness of what the heck is going on. Can you SSH into the other two servers and see why it's...
Oops.
We can try it again. We can increase the verbosity on the other two servers and see what's going on.
Okay.
but I don't think it will yield much better results at this point, just
Okay.
because it didn't
Yeah,
get much of a
Consul
chance.
is not even running here. So
Yeah.
what do you want me to look at here?
Can you go into vim etc consul.d consul.hcl?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, for those who are arriving in chat, it's all right. We're yeah, it's a little bit like we kind of like borked it, and there was some context missing that we just went woo and went a little too far, too quickly. Can you add log underscore level just somewhere in there? And then if you can do debug, we'll do debug level. I don't know if we do trace is helpful.
Does that look good to you?
Yeah, it looks fine.
Okay.
Okay. And then if you
we
can
just
do
wanna
the
try and restart
manual
it.
start. Yeah, manual start. Don't do the, yeah.
Okay. This is probably an operator error. Isn't that just a nice way of saying it's like a U error?
Okay. Failure to recovery failed. Refused to recover cluster with no initial state. Yeah, I think there's no state on this node because it was a new node that was added after it was destroyed. So
would I then need to grab the state from the other one?
I don't know if that is a bad thing or a good thing to do.
Yeah, I don't know either.
It would, I mean, we could. I don't know if it's a good thing. I mean, you can get the snapshot, but I don't know if it will have anything.
Yeah. What would happen if we just try to join? Would it? I mean, because what I'm surprised at, would expect when these two come on board for the one that does have the state to like communicate it to them, but that doesn't seem to be the case.
Yeah, I mean, because the other two just don't have any information. I don't think we can't copy the state from the other one to this one. I don't think that would be helpful.
Okay.
Let's
have here.
see.
So what if I'm curious, like what, so this peer, it looks like this peers.json in general is not, it's not happy about that because now it's not even letting it start at all. What would happen if we just got rid of the peers.json and then just did this manual join?
I mean, you could try the manual join. The problem is it never existed in the first place.
That's true. The server
So
wasn't.
you can give it a try and do a manual join.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that would require me getting rid of peers.json. So I forget where we put that. Op.consul.
You can, I think you should be able to keep it.
Keep what? The
Keep peers.json and then just do the console join, right?
Okay. Yeah. Doesn't console need to be running for me to do that?
Let's see.
Because I mean, I can just.
Okay, any new servers you introduce later can be fresh with totally clean directories and use the console's join command. So console agent space -join and then equals the IP address.
So that right there.
Not. I'm looking.
Okay, yeah.
130.
Doesn't just tell me to go straight up console join.
I think console agent -join.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, that should be it. We'll see.
The editor cannot be empty. So.
Oh, right. You have to get past the config directory. Do yeah.
And then it's just datadir.
Yeah.
And then what was our directory?
I would copy the sudo user bin agent.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then just add the join.
Yeah.
Gotcha. That's a lot easier. And then we need the other one. Still doesn't like it.
Remove the config directory and then just do data directory opt console.
Wait, so remove just this config directory flag here?
Yeah, remove config directory and then change it
Yeah.
to data directory opt console.
Okay. Okay. Well, it's running now.
Okay. So it added. Oh no.
Ah, but now there's the no cluster leader error again.
Well, I think it's supposed to event join. See, it's a joining member. Okay. So it's doing that. It doesn't, yeah, I think it just doesn't know. RPC, no cluster leader. Yeah. Oh, Lord. Yeah, I think it's kind of. You can force leave the other nodes, but I just don't think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do we have it clean up those other ones? Because the other ones are not in existence anymore. So let me just go back to the other one here.
Okay, try this again. Console join
Oh, okay. So we
instead of
want me to go
console
back to that
agent
same one?
join. Yeah. Do
Okay.
console join and then do the 120 blah 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 blah. Yeah. Console join
Okay.
10 dot. Let's see. Okay, let's see. Try that. I think it has to be running, so that's the problem.
Yeah. Yeah. But every time I try to run it here, if we do another, so I see. So that should work, assuming that this is up. But if I do this again, it's still gonna wait. It just started, I think.
You did it?
No,
No.
it died.
Huh. Well then, we've gone. See, the thing is the okay. Recapping where we are right now.
How
So
we got here?
we turned down the auto scaling so that we scale down to 1. It was not the leader, and we didn't give it much time to re-elect a leader. Thus, we had 1 node, and then we increased the 2 nodes that have never joined the cluster before ever,
Right.
and then now we don't. Okay, so the suggestion is start the server as you previously did, then run console join in another terminal. Okay, all right. So here we go. You know how we did a one-off where we started the console server?
Yep. So just right here.
Yeah. You know how we did this with the dash join or something?
Yeah. So like this with the thing.
Yeah. Okay. So we needed that.
Okay.
And then,
It fails.
well, it fails too fast. So I guess my question is, how do we get it to not fail? Do data directory?
Just pick a different one. Is it because that peers.json is in there? Because it's finding this, and that seems to be when it's like, yeah, we don't really like that. So maybe removing that is what should happen.
I don't think it's the peers JSON. I just think it's not.
Well, the thing is these were going up beforehand. They just weren't
Fair point.
connecting.
Okay, yeah. So let's delete the peers JSON.
Okay.
Let's delete the peers JSON. And then
Dash.
we'll start this again.
Okay. So with that gone, that should mean we should just be able to just start it up through system controller again.
Precisely.
And then.
Okay.
Yeah.
It is running.
So now it's.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so that's good.
And then
now
do
we should be able to
console
run
join.
console join. Yeah. Our address here.
That thingy.
Come on, space.
Thinking. Let's see.
Nope.
Okay.
Join.
All right. It contacted. Okay. So let's check the. Did it? I assume it didn't elect anything yet.
Was able to connect. Request finished. Status leader. My logs are getting cut off here.
I would just do journal CTL.
Okay.
Okay, it didn't join, but it is thinking about some of the other ones. Okay. That's good. So the question is, can we do this on the other node? Do the same process. Remove peers.json.
Okay.
And
so
then,
we're talking about the third node, not the original.
the third node. Yeah, not the original one.
Because it wouldn't work correctly with 2 anyways. You'd still need 1.
Right, exactly.
3.
Yeah, it wouldn't help us.
Okay.
So
let's get rid of peers.json. And now that should work. Okay, oh, wait. Why is that discovering those?
Well, because those are probably the older servers, and we should probably force leave them.
Yeah, they are the older ones because.
Yeah, we'll force leave and we'll remove them.
Yeah.
But okay.
Yeah.
So then let's do console operator raft list dash peers.
Oh, so you don't need me to do join here.
Oh, you do.
Did join.
Well, it looks like it's joined. I don't know. Or try to join it.
It does look like it's joined.
It looks like it did. Yeah, it joined it. Okay, can you do console operator raft list dash peers? Let's see.
Was it list hyphen peers?
Yes, correct. Okay.
Wow. Peers.json was the enemy because it wasn't. So what I'm thinking is that appears.json is when you're trying to do recovery with existing ones, but we got rid of them. But if you're trying to get the new ones in,
precisely,
this is what's going to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So in summary, if you scale down your cluster and the leader is completely and utterly lost, only do peers.json on the one that is left over. If you scale up other servers, start them up without the peers.json, and then do a console join.
Yeah. Although we didn't have to do it on this last one.
Right. Precisely. And notice there are, you know how the other servers had left, et cetera, et cetera. You know, we didn't have them anymore. You know, it's like set as .64. .64 does not exist. Yeah. So
yeah, it looks like it's gotten rid of them now.
Yeah. So it basically went through and cleaned up all the dead servers. If we did not have it cleaned up, we could do a console force leave to force the node to be basically removed from Raft.
So can I repeat it just for my own to make sure I'm on the same page? So we killed the leader, clearly killed the leader, and we're left with one of its followers who needed to be elevated to royalty, and they were unprepared to get them there. We took that one, we made the peers.json, and we explicitly listed the other 2 servers that were going to be with it, because that was something that we had to do. Put it into peers.json, started it, then we went to these other 2, started one of them, manually joined through console join, and then went to the other one, started it just normally, and it all worked. My question that we can leave for a different time, because we have been on this one for quite a bit, is why we didn't have to do the same thing for the next 2, and they both required something different. That confuses me a little bit. So if anyone watching has the answer to that, I would love to know at some point.
Well, so my thought on this is that because we had the one server with state.
Yeah.
The one server with state is the one that has to that Raft is saying, okay, this is the only node we know of, right? This is the only one that's left. The other 2 were added, but they didn't know who to join because there was no leader. There was no understanding. Raft was sort of like, well, I find that there's no state on this, no pre-existing state on this. It's a new node and it's never been part of the original cluster. So we can't just say, here, use this peers.json and add yourself to the cluster. Instead, what
Yeah.
we have to do is start the original one that has the state, and then
Yeah.
manually, and then start Consul on the new node, and then manually join it. So basically, what we
Yeah.
effectively did was, you know how you had that retry join stanza?
Hmm.
There previously, in I suppose previous iterations of Consul, I recall there was a manual join sequence. So what we
Hmm.
did was manually join enough
Yeah.
server nodes to the cluster so that we
Yeah.
could achieve quorum.
But we only did that for one, because for this one, we didn't run this.
I think this one, by that point, it had already recognized, right?
Yeah.
That it needed
It
to,
did
yeah.
it looks like it used the retry join thing
Right.
correctly.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Um, I find it interesting that it went ahead and eliminated those other ones by itself once we got that
Yeah.
up. But I guess that has to do with the peers.json file that we passed the leader. Cool.
Yeah. It's
So
there's a dead server cleanup in autopilot. So there's the Consul
yeah.
autopilot, which we looked at. So
Yeah.
it cleans up any dead servers or nodes that we don't recognize
right.
anymore.
Well, we're back.
We're
Everything's
back.
good, and we have covered outage recovery
By accident, which is great. It's great.
So, hey,
you know.
that's a hairy issue that hopefully you won't have to tackle, but if you do, now you know. Knowing is half the battle, right? So.
I know. Yeah. Yeah. I thank you for all of the patient folks who tuned in and watched us try to recover this by accident. But now we know. I think the thing that we were trying to do was if you go back to your Consul UI, actually,
Yep.
the services are still there, right? The other services are still
Yep,
there?
they are.
Yeah, there we are. Okay. We were going to
persisted.
scale up the clients. Was that
Yep,
the plan?
here too. Yep. So we're
Okay.
gonna try doing those.
Yes.
This should be much easier. So fingers crossed. So let's just put these up to 2. And this one will target the web. And once those are up, we'll see what's up. And my hopes are that these should be much more straightforward, right?
They are clients and they are adding
Yes.
to the cluster, right? We went full like let's just scale down, you know, and there's no burn down. We didn't do a burn down. We just sort of said like scale down however you want to, ASG.
Yeah.
And then ASG was like, sure.
Kill them all.
Yes.
Okay, so that one's up and it's healthy. Let's see on our thing here. It'd probably take it a second because it's probably still initializing, I would imagine. What do we have this year? Yeah, it's still initializing, so this might take a second. I guess the moral of that story is if you're going to scale down, you need to make sure that the leader is not one of the ones that just, I mean, you can do all this if you want to, but
right.
if the leader lives on.
Right. In this case, it's an outage, right? If you were mimicking an outage, this probably is the better, like, is at least the better sequence that you should recognize. If you have a pre-existing cluster, you only have one left. The others don't have data, you know, not the data, but you know, the other ones you're bringing up net new in order to achieve quorum, but they don't have data on them. You do need to do a manual join and add them to an existing cluster.
Yep. Yep. So this one, let's see if it's registered itself yet. I'm so glad that we got that back up. There were times where I doubted. I was like, we're gonna have to tear the whole thing down, but we didn't have to resort to that. So happy days.
Yeah. So it should be up right now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's still initializing. I'm waiting for this to. Oh, here we go. 2 instances. So
there we are.
That worked seamlessly.
Yep.
This will probably get its check here in a second, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
30 seconds from now.
Yeah, exactly.
That was easy. Okay, cool.
Actually, it won't. It won't because the we didn't update the user data with the health check definition.
That's right, because we just did it right on that one. So we would need to go in and do this.
Yes. We'll do it later.
Yeah, that'll be a. But in terms of scaling down, if I wanted to just kill this one, that should be of no problem, correct?
Yeah, you should be fine.
Yeah.
Because it's a client. It will
Yeah, it's a client.
deregister the
Yeah.
client, but you know.
Yeah, it might kill the one that we put the health check on, but
Right.
that's probably
Yeah.
fine.
Right.
We'll do that. We'll do it later. Do we want to scale up the API or not? I mean, it's going to be the
It's
exact
the same
result.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We should probably move on to whatever we're going to get to next.
Well, the last thing we had was telemetry.
Yeah.
Well, here we are. All
Yep.
right. Okay, so telemetry was the last bit. You can add telemetry to the your nodes, to the Consul agents. There we go. The Consul agents, and it will give some some metrics. So we'll enable it. I don't think we're going to funnel it to Prometheus or Datadog or anything today. We're just not, I don't. We're not going to install Prometheus, and we could spend a whole stream trying to set up Prometheus. So we're not going to do that. We're just going to enable it, and then that way we'll hopefully be able to curl to the endpoint, and we'll be able to get some information. So,
gotcha.
We're not going to get too deeply into it. I just wanted to at least throw this in. But given that we had like a good amount of time, good chunk of time doing outage recovery, it's actually great. There is a question in the chat. Is there a plan to do service mesh with Cole in the future?
Of course. Of course. We're going to show up in Mad Max gear. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, so the rough plan is that I think we're at about a 10 episode run, right? And so the first 5 or 6, there may be 6 because we might get a special guest in a couple weeks, who's going to help us learn about, because Cole is going to be at KubeCon. I will not be, so I will be learning from hopefully someone about auto config. But the next one is going to be ACLs, gossip encrypt, all the sort of securing console pieces. Which hilariously, someone mentioned that they had some a very difficult time enabling ACLs and gossip encryption and everything else. Yes, we are going to do that in the next one. It will be kind of tricky, so we'll see how that goes. And then after that will be, I think we're going to do auto config, and then the one after that will be service mesh. So Cole will have to use Consul service mesh because we haven't introduced, we haven't added it to this yet, which changes a little bit. But funny, the comment, Cole, is that they believe in you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Times I doubt myself, but knowing that I have the chat's magic it's all I need, right? But on the telemetry for time-wise, what do I need to do here, Master Rosemary?
Well, I sent you a doc on telemetry.
All right, let's take a look at it. And the telemetry, just from my understanding, this is the fancy way of saying Consul's going to spit out stuff it's doing about what's going on. What you do with it is up to you. You want to pipe it to Datadog or Prometheus or wherever, that's up to you, right?
Precisely. Yep.
Sweet.
Yeah, so this is the metrics reference that you're showing here. This is all of sort of the lovely description of metrics that you'll need or that you could need to debug the Consul nodes. This has nothing or very little to do with the services. That's a whole other telemetry configuration that we'll talk about not now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're looking at the servers then.
Yeah, we're looking at the agents, so that's servers and the clients.
Okay.
Yes. And so what we will do, that is the description of said metrics. What we will do is we are going to add the telemetry option. I suppose you should do it to the servers.
Okay.
Probably the servers. Yeah.
Options. I guess I could just click the link you just sent me. Here we go. Sarconis. No idea what that is.
I don't know either.
Okay, well, at least it's not just me. So let me go to our leader here, because the leader is who I want to talk to. And I'm guessing we're going to be doing this in the console config file.
Yes, okay. That is correct. Yep.
This little server is our survivor. They've been through so much.
All right, we need
Okay.
telemetry and then
And then
squiggle
it's a block,
bracket.
I'm guessing. Yeah.
Yeah, squiggle bracket. And then we're going to do there's a thing called Prometheus retention time
Oh,
down somewhere
okay.
there.
So specifically for Prometheus.
Yes. If the value is greater than 0 seconds, the default this enables Prometheus export. So we are going to do a Prometheus export just so for the sake
Okay.
of ease of
If the value is greater than 0,
I guess
what should we make it to?
30 seconds, right?
Okay.
Yeah, we just need it greater than 0 for now.
Okay.
At least
So we're
2 times
go
the
ahead.
interval scrape of Prometheus is the suggestion in the documentation. We don't have Prometheus set up, so you know.
Gotcha. So question real quick. So for then telemetry, this is not just a raw data spit out that it just lets out, right? This is you're explicitly telling it how to do it. And in this case, we're saying we want this telemetry to come out primed for Prometheus.
Yes. So
Okay,
there are a
gotcha.
number of configurations under telemetry, like, as you said, Circonus, DogStatsD. And so a lot of these pieces, you can. So there's 2 different. This is why we're not going to go too much into monitoring and metrics. But Prometheus is a scrape model, right? So Prometheus pulls the information from endpoints and uses them. Some of them are agents, right? In which case, like something like Datadog would have an agent on the machine scraping the endpoint for you and then sending it to Datadog. So there are a number of ways in which you can configure this, which is why there's multiple sets of these, and each of them have different formats. So there's Prometheus format. Datadog has DogStatsD, which is a variant of StatsD. StatsD has its own formulation. So all of these things, depending on your metrics format, you must choose.
Okay, that makes sense. And we're specifically picking Prometheus because it does hit an endpoint, will be able to hit that endpoint and see what Prometheus would see.
Precisely.
Perfect.
The other thing is that there's a second line in there that says, when running in this mode, it is recommended to also enable the option disable hostname.
Okay. So disable hostname is what we need to do. I saw that up here, disable hostname. Whether or not to prepend runtime telemetry with the machine's hostname defaults to false. Oh, so we need to make it true. Okay.
Yes.
Disable hostname. Yes, disable hostname to true. Look good?
Yep.
This is all we need?
Theoretically, yes.
Okay. All right, well, we'll do that. And so now I'm guessing we need to restart it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So when we restart it, will those changes propagate to the other servers?
No. You'll have to do it for every server.
Oh, okay.
Yes. One thing is that I would maybe try a reload and see if it does a reload.
Oh, yeah.
Instead
So
of a
console
restart.
reload.
Yeah. Why not? Why not try a reload?
Okay. So we have reloaded. How do we test this endpoint now?
Then if you go back to the documentation, there's the exact endpoint. There's the API endpoint.
Oh, right here. Gotcha. So we should be able to do a curl, the local host. We are on, I forget what port we have this on. Is it on 9090?
Yeah, I think so. Well, it's not going to be 9090, right?
That's right, because that's for the service.
Yeah, so it's 8500, I believe. Let's see. Yeah, because you want to do it on 8500. Its retention time is not positive. Oh, yeah, we have to restart the whole thing. Darn.
Oh, okay. We do?
Yeah, I think we have to do a system CTL.
I'm just making sure I didn't typo something real quick. Yeah, because that's definitely positive unless it doesn't want it in S. No, because it's got it in 0S, so I guess that must be it. Okay.
Should be fine.
Well, here we go. Is this gonna make the other servers mad?
Probably, but it's fine. This is it'll be up and down. It'll be okay.
Okay, so just making sure hot reloading with telemetry does not work then.
So not all config, as per Blake, thank you. Not all config
Okay.
in Consul is reloadable. So
And this is one of those.
yes, Consul
Gotcha.
config would not be reloadable.
Okay, deep breath.
It's fine. Don't worry about it. We know how to fix it if it doesn't work again. Just make sure that it's
That's
actually
true.
up.
Yeah. So. Okay, sync node
Yeah.
info. All right, so. Oh,
There
look at all
you
that
are.
stuff.
Yes.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah. So someone asked in the chat if any of this is secret. The answer is no. It is not. The information here is mostly system side telemetry. So you've got like Raft, you've got process, you've got memstats. If you scroll up, cool. There's a couple of little pieces that you would use for debugging Consul. So you'll notice Raft replication, Raft leader, finite state machine, commit time, candidate. So anything that you would need to do for debugging, like if you were querying Consul, for example, and you're doing a prepared query with Consul, and there was some latency to it, then you would have that information here. So you've got gossip, replication, everything else.
Wow.
Yeah.
So this data is already formatted for Prometheus, right?
Mm-hmm. That is
But
correct.
you could, if you wanted to, take this yourself and do stuff with it.
Yeah. So you could use Prometheus as a format, right? It's not uncommon. So you can even do this to Datadog. You can tell Datadog, scrape Prometheus format, and it will do it because it recognizes Prometheus as the format, right?
Cool.
It's just from an efficiency view, it's probably better to scrape it with dog_stats_d.
So what I would like to see now is I'd like to see what the other servers are doing. If they're like, because you're saying we need to, if we wanted the telemetry to be active, we need to go turn it on them as well, right?
Right. Yeah. You would want all of them to have it because
yeah.
if you had a Prometheus server and you were configuring this, you would need to configure a Prometheus config. Usually it's a YAML file. So you'd have to configure a Prometheus YAML file, and you'd want it to dynamically, you can tell Prometheus to dynamically scrape metrics from Consul, from specific Consul servers, so to speak, without explicitly defining it. It's a little bit like the Go Discover, the cloud auto join kind of approach. So you can tell Prometheus to dynamically discover Consul servers and scrape from those endpoints, in which case you would assume all of them had this exposed.
Yep, that makes sense. And as you said, we do need to go change it around.
Yes. I mean, there was a question in the chat, like what exactly are we doing with the Terraform and the EC2? So what we are doing is working on the machine by SSHing into it, but after every stream, Cole painstakingly goes in, copies and retrieves all of the config information and puts it into the user data of the Terraform EC2 resource that we're configuring, so that next time we actually tear this down we tear it down and stuff. So, the next stream we start off, where we had just configured it, but we always do it immutably. We don't, go in and make the changes again.
Yeah. So just so the stream knows, let me show this. All that I will be doing afterwards is like going into the code base here in our server and just adding that telemetry line is all we'll need to do there. Because in terms of all the scale and manual outage stuff we did, that doesn't need to go in here anywhere. So that doesn't really have a place for it. And as far as the scaling up, we did scale it manually in the console, but if you wanted to scale it from Terraform, you would just come to the variables, change our desired min and max count, and that would go up. But now you know not to go down unless you've properly elected a leader. Though going up, as we saw, is without problem. So
yeah. And just as a clarification from Blake, dog_stats_d, stats_d, and Serconos are all push-based. What we mentioned before, Consul will send metrics to the configured export destinations. Prometheus is pull-based, so we'll scrape the metrics from the API. If you leave off the question mark format equals Prometheus, so if you leave off the query parameter from the V1 agent metrics query, the API will provide a list of metrics in JSON format, and you can use the format in JSON if you wanted.
Wow. That's pretty cool. Question for Blake here or whoever might know. But for this to be active at all, we would still need Prometheus retention time to get this to even start working. Or is V1 agent metrics just live at all times?
I believe it's live at all times. Yeah, I think it will probably just export it at all times. We just needed to enable Prometheus
Actually, I have a
specifically.
simple way to check
the
that.
agent metrics API works at all times. So we could have just not done the telemetry, but I wanted to show at least you can configure a telemetry stanza so that you can choose it to your output.
Yeah. So that means that we could do a 8500 V1 agent metrics. Wow, that's awesome.
Yep.
Nice.
There we
Does
are.
that pretty thing work here?
Yeah.
What was that like?
Question mark
flash?
pretty.
Ha! Look at that. And it's usable.
Cole, you know something? Cole is learning Consul, everyone.
Yeah, nice. Well, didn't even need Prometheus. But if you need Prometheus, we have it set up in the other one. So nice.
Yeah, there we go. All right. So in that case, we are going to wrap up this stream. Cole, we should probably summarize what we did because we had we were spinning in circles for a little bit.
Yeah, we did. So first we talked about the hot reloading around and the whole idea of automated service discovery. And what we did first was with health checks, just to show that if you change something in that console config file, you don't have to restart. But we later learned that only some things will be reloaded when we do console reload, right? So we did the health check, and we can see some of those health checks here. So for example, the API does have the health check going. After that, we talked about the auto scaling side of things, which the most part was going well. The idea there is you turn all of your one-off instances that we had into auto scaling groups. Therefore, we can change how many go up and go down. Then we scaled up the console servers. Those worked just fine. Nothing was bad. It was when we scaled down too fast without warning that we encountered a problem and walked through manual outage. And then we went into metrics. Does that sound about right?
Yes. Yeah. Excellent. And so for those who are tuning in, thank you so much for joining us and for participating in the chat and answering all our questions and suffering our non-expertise in Consul. The next one we're going to do in a couple weeks. We always stream on the 1st and 3rd Fridays. This is a Thursday. It's a little bit of a one-off because of the holiday, but we are going to be back on, the 17th. The 17th. And the 17th will be the one that I am least sure that we will get done. So it may spread over too. It is because we are going to be securing Consul. So we're going to be adding ACLs, gossip encrypt, doing all of the secure configurations, which now that Cole has learned all the little bits and pieces of Consul operations, will now be forced to reckon with the security configurations.
Oh, joy.
Oh, joy. It's actually a fun one. And then after that, we'll have KubeCon coming up. So if anybody is at KubeCon, let us know. Yeah. And then after that, we'll get into some of the service mesh stuff. So with that, thank you all for joining. We appreciate you tuning in and helping us debug. And we'll see you on the next episode of Getting into Consul.